Hi there YouTube, it's Jacob from Team Pyramid. So today I want to do a Wave of Light structure deck unboxing. So I quite like the idea of counter fairies. So the only reason why I like that is because the fact the new ban list has hit, and I believe trap cards are going to become a lot more prevalent, especially with this deck on its own. That Judgment now, that is now gone to one. Yeah, it's a one of, but it's totally free in this deck, which is incredible. Obviously, it don't come in this deck, but if you want to go ahead and create a Counter Fairies deck, I would definitely advise adding it. So let's get into this. Okay. So we've got our deck, we've got our mat, and our beginner's guide. So let's have a quick look at the mat before we go ahead and get into the deck. So as you can see, just your standard paper mat. Pretty cool pictures. Then obviously, as normal, your standard beginner's guide. Right, let's get into this. So, we'll have a look at the shinies in a minute. We'll have a look at the foils in a minute. So, we have one Minerva, Scholar of the Sky. So, this card is pretty cool. So, this card, every time a counter trap is activated, immediately after the effect resolved, this card gains 500. And if it does, and if Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field, you can add one counter trap back from your graveyard to your hand with a different name. So the fact that this card can just boost itself up, and the fact that this card can just obviously bring back your counter traps so you can use it next turn, I think that's incredible. Then we have Neo Parthash, the Sky Paladin. It's an old card. I can't really see much prevalence in it. Then Arcana Parshath. So again, it's because it's the Parshath's cards. Meltly, the Sage of the Sky. So this card is pretty cool as well. Each time a counter trap is activated, immediately after its effect resolves, gain 1,000 life points. So you're getting your life points there. And then if Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field, destroy one card your opponent controls. So you don't target, it just destroys, which spot clearance there on that as well, which is pretty cool. Harvest, Angel of the Wisdom. So this card always used to be pretty cool. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can target one counter trap in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So I don't think in today's meta that's going to be really that good, because it does have to be on the field to get its effect, and it then has to be popped. So I can't really see it being much use. Bountiful Artemis. So Bountiful Artemis is your key playmaker. So this card, whenever a counter trap is activated, so it don't have to even be your counter traps, it could be your opponent's. Whenever Bountiful Artemis is actually on the field and a counter trap is activated, you draw one. Immediately after its effect is resolved, you draw one card. So it's crazy good. Ledyard the Liberator. So this card, basically, when a counter trap is activated, you immediately after its effects resolved, you get to add 2 banished fairy monsters to your hand. It's a bit slow for today's meta, but we'll see what it can do. Guardian Ariadne. So another one of the, probably in counter fairies, one of the biggest cards in the deck, due to the fact of its pendulum effect, that it makes your counter traps free. That you don't have to pay life points for them, you don't have to discard for them. But not only just that, when this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can reveal 3 counter traps from your deck to your opponent. They choose one, and it adds it to your hand. The rest is shuffled back into your deck. So the fact that this card can go ahead and literally make your opponent pick how they want to die when this card gets destroyed, I think that's brilliant. Archlord Christia. So I don't really need to speak about that. If you don't know what Christia does, I can't really say much to that. Basically, just a good card all round, especially in a fairy deck. You also see it running around a lot in Dark Lords. Just a phenomenal card. The fact it shuts down your opponent, and that's what a That's what a counter fairy deck does. It makes your opponent play the game how you want them to play it. Splendid Venus. This card is pretty cool. All non-fairy type monsters lose 500 attack, and that's pretty much it. Effects of spell and trap cards activated on the field cannot be negated. But it is a big card. It is an 8-star monster. Can't really see much use in it. Athena, again, can't really see much use in it. Yeah, you get to special summon, but it's not really much use in today's meta. Phineas, Goddess of Light. So this card, when you draw a fairy monster, except during damage step, you can reveal one of those monsters, draw one card. This card must be face up on the field for the activation of its effect. So it is draw power again, however, it's very slow, and you don't really want your opponent knowing what you've got. Discard this card, go ahead and get Valhalla, Hall of the Fallen. What can you say? Glenderow. This card cannot be destroyed by battle, and if any damage you take, destroy this card instead. Okay. It also works as 2 tributes for a light monster, which is pretty cool. Nova Summoner. So this card, when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one light fairy monster with 1500 attack. So basically, it's a Mystic Tomato or a what can I say? A giant rat for this. If Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field, you can special summon Archlord, Arknight Parsha instead. So instead of actually getting the actual search from your grave, from your monster, then you go ahead and just special summon Arknight Parsha. Honest is a good card. Herald of Orange Light. So Herald of Orange Light negates monster effects. Herald of Green Light negates spell cards, and Herald of Purple Light negates trap cards. So I'm going to do a video in the next few weeks about heralds. They are hand traps, yeah. I like them. Most people don't. The boss monster, Herald of Perfection, yeah, everyone knows that card. It's just phenomenal. But I'm going to do a video later on in the next few weeks about herald cards. Hopefully you guys will see it and like it. Guarding Light. So this card, when this card is normal summoned, you can target one level 1 light monster in your graveyard and special summon it. And here we get into some level 1s. So DD Sprite, it's a tuner. And you can special summon this card from your hand by banishing one face-up monster you control. If special summon this way during your next standby phase, return the banished monster. Then for another hand trap, we've got Henawata. So Henawata, if you guys don't know what it is, you can discard this card and you take no effect damage this turn. So crazy good against Trickstars. It's a tuner, it's a level 1, it's a fairy. Really good. Then off to the spells for the deck, we've got Sanctuary in the Sky. Cards from the sky. So cards from the sky, you banish one light fairy monster from your hand, and if you do, draw 2 cards. You cannot special summon the turn you activate this card, and neither can you conduct your battle phase. But it's good if you got it first turn, because then you're getting resources. Okay. Crystallized Transformation. It's another old card. Can't really see the use of it these days. Special summon one fairy monster from your hand. That monster's attack is halved. Also destroy it during the end phase. So it's good. It's good if you want to. It's not once per turn. The only way I can see it is if you're trying to bust out a link monster. Activate multiples of these, but then you're using up resources you got, obviously, for your cards. Get your link monster out, and then you can start plays from there. Valhalla, Hall of the Fallen. So you can special summon one fairy monster from your hand, but there must be no monsters on cards on your side of the field monsters on your side of the field to actually resolve that effect. Ties of the Brethren, such a good reprint. Such a good reprint. So obviously Ash Blossom is around, yeah. But if you can get this effect off, I'm pretty much sure you're going to be going for game. So you pay 2,000 life points, target one level 4 or lower monster on you control, and for the rest of the turn after this card effect resolves, you cannot special summon monsters. Also, special summon 2 monsters from your deck with the same type, attribute, and level as that monster, but with different names from each other. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this card. So yeah, it does shut you down quite a bit. However, you can get out things like you can get Honest out to the field. You can go ahead and with this card, then you can go ahead and get. I would go for Minerva. I'd then go for. I'd probably go for Honest or Minerva, depending on what I had on the field, or Bountiful Artemis. Reason why is because then you can go ahead get your Honest back to your hand, and then you can go ahead and like prepare for your next turn. So if your opponent attacks, then you've also got Honest in your hand. Light of the Judgment, Lyrical Distance, Synthetic Symphony. So don't understand why that card's in here. Obviously it's a counter trap thing, but don't really get it. So each time the counter trap is activated, resolved, you get to special summon 1 Symphony token. So again, I think it's just for the tokens for the like link summons. Divine Punishment. When a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated, when Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field, negate the activation if you do destroy it. So it's a warning. Dark Bribe, Solemn Warning, Say No More. Ultimate Providence. Again, it's exactly the same effect as Divine Punishment. Really good card. Really good card in this. Drastic Drop Off. Stops your opponent's resources when they draw them. Recall. Again, it's a monster. It stops monster effects, but your opponent gets to draw. And then we get our token and our little Duel Links token. So going on to the holos, we've got Eva. We've got our boss monster Parshath. We've got our Power Angel Valkyria. So I'll go over those two in a second. But Valkyria, when a spell or trap, if you negate the activation of a spell, trap card, or monster effect, add 1 light monster from your deck to your hand. You can only activate it once per turn, but I think that's an awesome effect. Then the Sanctuary of Parshath. So this card becomes Sanctuary in the Sky while on the field or in the graveyard. Fairy monsters on the field gain 300 attack points and defense points. Set spell or trap cards cannot be targeted by or destroyed by card effects. Once per turn, you can target the total of 3 fairy monsters, add or counter traps with different names in your graveyard and place them on the top of your deck, which is crazy good. And then we have the new counter trap Parshath card, which is when a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated, reveal 1 counter trap card in your hand, discard 1 card, pay 1,000 life points, negate the activation, and if you do, shuffle that card into the deck. Then you can special summon 1 Parshath monster from your deck or extra deck. Crazy good. Does take a lot of resources, but if you've got Guardian Ariadne, stops it. This is the big boss monster. So Sacred Arcana Knight Parshath. So this card is really good. You can special summon it, and you basically go ahead and you get to go ahead and get your counter traps from your deck as well, which is crazy good. This card, I can't really see a use for it unless you're playing the Herald engine in it. So if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish up to 2 light fairy type monsters from your field or graveyard the same number of levels 2. Add the same number of level 2 or lower fairy type monsters with different names from your deck to your hand. You can only use the effect of this once per turn. So again, like I said, It's more for the Herald engine. Still a cute looking card though. But that's it for this structure deck opening. There will be the new Millennium booster box coming out halfway through this month. I'll be doing a booster box opening of that. I'll be doing a couple of them actually. I've also got a Code of the Duelist and a Extreme Force one to do. These videos will be coming up soon as well. But as always, YouTube, if you like the video, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more. If you want to see any more packs, like older packs, vintage packs, please comment below and let me know which ones you want to see. And if you want to see any deck profiles, go ahead, leave a comment below. I'm working on Crystron at the moment and Ghost Tricks, as 2 people have already asked for them. But if you do want to see any more, please go ahead and leave a comment below. As always, YouTube, thank you very much for watching.